Hello, everybody. It's Phil Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. And today is September 1st, 2021. And to subscribe, please click on the subscribe button below here on the lower right and also the notification bell in the upper right. Today's episode is why Confederate icons are destroyed. So let me pull up my notes. Already, here we go. Confederate statues are demolished to assuage white guilt over slavery and historical racism. In recent years, white guilt has evolved into white terror among the cultural elite. They rightly fear that their careers will be ruined if they do not conspicuously dissociate themselves with everything about slavery and segregation. Thus, each year they up the ante of special privileges for Blacks. In 1993, for example, Ivy League schools added 190 points to Black College Board scores to increase their acceptance rates. Since then, the white-Black performance gap has been so persistent that the University of California system no longer takes board scores into account when admitting new students. Among the white elite, the guilt is more about retaining their own power than about helping Blacks. During the 1960s, American whites, quote, went to confession, close quote, by admitting the nation's sin of historical racism. Even though they passed sweeping civil rights and voting rights acts, their confession left them without the moral authority to continue leading. They had to regain that authority by detaching themselves from racism and slavery. The situation put them in a position comparable to that of an adulterous spouse. Wishing to stay in the marriage, the, quote, guilty spouse, scare quotes, can be manipulated by the, scare quotes, victimized spouse to do the latter's bidding. If never forgiven, the adulterous spouse will forever be trying to make amends with gifts and acts of contrition. For the past 60 years, white elites have vouchsafed such gifts to Blacks to little effect, starting with affirmative action. The situation reflects several problems. First and foremost, affirmative action subtly informs Blacks that their skin color is their most important characteristic. It leaves them forever unsure whether their academic achievements are authentic or merely a gift from a white upper class that fudged their grade scores. When they commence careers, the affirmative action graduates, co-workers, customers, clients, and patients will have the same doubts. In contrast, when all students are held to the same standard, everyone will have more confidence in Black graduates. By messaging the primacy of their skin color, the Ku Klux Klan itself could not have better designed a program than affirmative action to falsely persuade Blacks of their racial inferiority. Second, affirmative action places many good Black students into superior academic programs where they are not prepared to compete. Even Black engineering students with top high school grades tend to cluster at the lower percentiles of class rank at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford, or Caltech, where the nation's top students enroll. In schools where excellence remains an unyielding standard, perfectly good affirmative action students are, quote, in over their heads, close quote. Unfortunately, an overly large share of them choose to attend the most prestigious universities they can, thereby leaving perfectly good state schools desperate for Black freshmen. A third affirmative action effect is that many colleges lower their standards. If AA students are to receive passing grades, it may be necessary to inflate the grades for everyone. Thus, a traditional C may be replaced with a B, while the top students receive superlative grades such as A+ and A++. Similarly, traditional curriculums might be diluted to provide easier courses. 4 years ago, even Yale University dropped Shakespeare as a requirement for English majors in response to student demands that the department, scare quote, decolonize its literature requirements. Finally, affirmative action discourages Blacks from taking responsibility for themselves. Only through the application of a work ethic, personal responsibility, deferred gratification, and self-reliance can anyone, Black or white, reach their full potential. As such factors become habits in a competitive world where excellence is the aspired standard, they lead to accomplishments which impart dignity instead of doubts. Unfortunately, white guilt is the source of Black power. It is not the type of power that Malcolm X, Booker T. Washington, and Webb Du Bois sought. They wanted a power that resulted from the application of the traditional work ethic. They did not want help from whites. Although Washington took money from white donors, he insisted that his students learn a trade that would enable them to earn a living. Even at the end of the Civil War, Black leader Frederick Douglass advised whites to leave free Blacks alone so they may learn on their own how to make their way in a free society. He remarked, quote, "Everybody asks, what shall we do with the free Negro? I have but one answer. Do nothing with us. If the apples will not remain on the tree of their own strength, let them fall. I am not for tying or fastening them on the tree in any way. And if they will not stay there, let them fall. And if the Negro cannot stand on his own legs, let him fall also. All I ask is give him a chance to stand on his own legs." Like Douglass, Malcolm X, Washington, and Du Bois, Black author Shelby Steele, who's a fellow at the Hoover Institution, concludes that today's African Americans need the dignity that only the application of traditional values can provide. He argues that too many do not truly want freedom because it is associated with the responsibility and self-reliance. Therefore, they falsely claim that they are not free. People like Ibram X. Kendi and many others. They falsely claim that they are not free by providing trivial examples such as microaggressions and convoluted explanations such as critical race theory and anti-racism. So long as white guilt makes it easy for Blacks to avoid personal responsibility, many will continue to underperform. But once they earn self-esteem by competing with others on a single standard, they will be too busy with their own careers to even imagine that they could derive any self-esteem by tearing down Confederate statues. Okay, so let me share my screen. For those of you that would like to learn about the time when the Confederacy had the best chance of winning its independence, I recommend my book, The Confederacy at Flood Tide. It covers the period from June of 1862 to December of 1862. It looks at a lot of factors, not just the military, but also the political and the diplomatic and the economic and even the espionage. You can get it at Barnes & Noble or Amazon for $28. $28. And if you want a personal signed copy from me, autographed, you can get that for $31 if you're here in the United States, and I will ship it to you at no charge. But you have to email me, Phil, P-H-I-L _ Leigh, L-E-I-G-H, at me.com. Okay, well, that's our show for today, and thanks for watching.